Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm a part of the team of Cosmos Pics. Today, we're going to be chatting about the new space economy within this mini course. But before we go there, let's talk about how to find a satellite in the sky. Imagine that it's after work, you finally have your free time to relax, and you're walking down the hillside of the mountain, which is close to your hometown. And at some point, it's past the sunset already. And at some point, you take a look at the night sky and you see a shooting star. You make a wish. That's pretty awesome. So you decide to stay a little bit longer and look for other shooting stars. And what happens is you see a bright star in the sky. But this star, the more you look at it, the more it seems that it's moving across the night sky and it's following a line. This is a satellite. We can differentiate it from a plane because the plane has a bright light which shines in white on one side of it and a red one on the other side of its wings. So if it's blinking, and if it's blinking red, it's definitely not a satellite. But when you spot something that looks like a star that is following a line motion or looks like it's going in a straight line, this is a satellite. There are many in the sky. Next time, when you're walking at night and you're not in a city with very strong lights, look at the sky and find your own satellite. What we're going to do today is we're going to speak about satellites, yeah, sure, but other parts of the new space economy as well. We'll go in a little bit more details and we'll discover what is an easy way to enter the new space economy. If that's something that makes you excited and makes you curious. And then we'll see how we can see the invisible and understand how big satellites are. But before we continue, again, I feel like you have a curious mind since you're still watching this video. And by the end of it, we hope that we can help you stay relevant, learn about a new industry that is beginning to develop, land jobs. So far, we know 2 people who landed jobs based on the knowledge that we have given them, and stay with a narrow focus. We're not going to push you into the space economy's ocean and leave you drown. We're gently going to guide you through it and show you how to enter. We are a company that is supported by Google for Startups and by the European Space Agency. We have been doing this for 4 years already, and it's pretty cool. We're always speaking about space stuff. We wanted to share this excitement with you. So that's why we created this mini course, the new space industry. It is going to be the next big thing. Let me explain to you the 2 movements that we see within it. And the easiest way to do this is by showing you a picture. Let's ignore the fact that the sun is supposed to be much, much bigger than the Earth. And let's concentrate on what we see here. We have 2 types of movements within the new space industry. One is called upstream. And here, what we see is building things on Earth, on our planet, and launching them into space or using them into space. So let's say that we work here and we are building a shuttle that we're going to go launch and land on the moon. When we get there, what we can do is we can build a habitat for a place where human beings can live. We can also build space hotels so that people travel to space just for pleasure and to see the beauty of it. But basically what we did here is we took something from Earth and we pushed it up to space. This is part of the upstream industry. Another example that I can give you is the following. We have an asteroid that is flying through space, and yet it passes close by for us to be able to send one probe that is going to chase it and land on top of it. And as soon as it lands on top of it, it can start mining for precious materials, some of the materials that we are running low on Earth, on our own planet. This again is an example of us building something on our planet and launching it up into space, therefore upstream. The other possibility that we have for a movement within the space industry is called downstream. And you guessed it, it's exactly the opposite of what upstream is. Here, we take something that is in space and we bring it back down to Earth. It might be something that we have mined from an asteroid or some knowledge that we have gained there that we can use on Earth. So, as I've told you, here we've already mined our precious materials and we bring them back down to Earth. Sometimes it might be just easier to bring these materials down to the moon, process them from there, and then bring them back down to Earth. But again, everything is coming down to Earth from space. Imagine that you're an astronaut living on the space station for the next 6 months. There, you need to adapt to a lot of different ways of living in space. And some of the things to use there are vacuum toilets. These vacuum toilets can be useful in certain places in the world, let's say developing or third world countries, which have very little resources to build proper bathroom system. What we can do is we can take these vacuum bathrooms or toilets that we have developed for space applications and bring them down to Earth to use them there and help people live cleaner lives. So this again is something that is called a downstream. The final thing I wanted to mention here is that in space, there are a lot of small satellites which are orbiting Earth. And these satellites have cameras mounted on top of them, and they take images of the planet Earth. So they capture what they see, and sometimes what they see are only clouds, sometimes they see storms, or they just see the beauty of nature. When we receive these images or satellite pictures from space, we receive them down from orbit. And again, this is a downstream application. I hope that this graphic helped you understand better what we consider upstream and what we consider downstream. And let's continue back to our presentation and speaking more about the new space economy. It also is going to grow big. It's expected to reach $1 trillion by 2040. So in the next 10, 15 years. And the beauty of it is that this is a lot of money. It's going to involve a lot of money. Here, I also wanted to let you in a little secret, which is it's going to create a lot of jobs. It already has tons of job openings, and they are going to be more coming in the next couple of months, years, and decades. This means that some people are already working within the industry, and it's the usual professions that you can imagine. We have engineers, we have doctors, we even have cooks who think of new ways on cooking and preserving food so it can last during space travel. But yet, the industry is going to grow, and there will be more and more and more positions to be filled by people like you and me. I hope you're going to be one of those people. There are different ways of getting a job within the new space industry, but we believe that we found an easy way in. And we suggest that we start using and working with satellite images and analyzing them. So satellite images are captured by the instruments that are mounted on satellites and then beamed down to Earth. And don't worry, our brains are already used to these type of images. This is the typical map of Tokyo. And this is usually the interface that we see every day. But we're also used to seeing this, which is Tokyo, but showed on a map that is comprised of satellite images. And here we can see the Bay of Tokyo. We can see the waters, the ports, and here we can also see there is a small park here within the center of it. If we zoomed in, we can also see parked cars and just life going about its everyday hustle. The problem with images that we see like this on Google Maps or Bing Maps, for example, is that they're not updated very often. So the image that we're looking at the moment might have been taken 2 years ago. So it's not very updated. What we can do though, and it's something that very few people know, is we have access to a lot of satellite images that were taken yesterday or 2 weeks ago, or we can ask for one to be taken next week for us. And this is an example of one of those images. It was taken in the middle of August this year, so exactly a month ago. And it's an image of a forest with a river passing through it. Here we can see a small settlement, and the small red dots are the rooftops of the village houses. And here we can see the curves of the hills when they strike to go higher from the ground. Coming back to this image, this is what we can see if we fly above it. But what if I wanted to see which parts of the land are hot? And I can. If we ask the satellite to show us, they would show us an image like this. What happens here is this is a mountainous region with geothermal activity. So some of the waters in the river are hot, like this water basin here, or these small patches of water here. But we cannot really see it in the original image. That's why we use satellites and ask them to see more for us. Coming back to the image that we are already quite familiar with, this is another image that the satellite can generate for us. And what it shows us is just the water basins on that image. Remember that I've told you that there is a river here? There are also a little bit of ponds and lakes that we cannot really detect with our naked eye, but we can ask the satellite to cancel everything else except the water. And we can see all the water basins and the parts of the river snaking itself through the countryside here. That's very interesting, but I still don't buy it. I don't know how satellites can see more than the human eye. Or at least I did not know. I learned it and I want to share it with you right now. Let me go back to my drawing board and let's see how our eyes perceive light. What happens is the sun emits radiation and our eyes capture it while it's traveling towards us in a wave form. And what happens is we capture the red, the blue, and the green radiation, which we conveniently titled the visible light. Satellites, they orbit the planet all the time. And because they're in space, the radiation emitted from the sun also can reach them. And it does reach them. But satellites are also built by human beings, and we were very smart, and we decided to give them the capabilities of seeing more than what our human eyes can. So they can read and understand more of the radiation that is reaching them, which had been emitted by the sun. Two examples of this radiation are called red edge or short wave infrared. Infrared. Not something that we hear very often, isn't it? by combining different types of radiation signature on images, we can ask the satellites to see what is invisible to the human eye, digitize it for us, and show it to us in the form of something that we know very well, which is a satellite image or simply an image. But how big are these satellites anyway? I know that they orbit Earth. And when I was a child, I actually imagined them to be these massive metal bodies that were really difficult to push into orbit. I was on a trip to South Africa this year, and I was invited to a laboratory to see how satellites are being built. And they showed us one of their recent satellites. And this is how it looked like. So this is the satellite. It is that big. And if you compare it to the coffee mug, it looks twice as big as the coffee mug and much smaller than a shoebox. So some of the satellites that are orbiting Earth that can take photos of what happens on our planet are that big. Some are slightly bigger, but in general, they're very, very small. This one is called a nano satellite. That's it. You're awesome. We heard about the new space economy and upstream and downstream types of applications. We also spoke about satellite images and, most importantly, how satellite data is mainly for free. Whoops, we didn't speak about it yet. Yes, that is true. The European Space Agency and NASA provide satellite images for free to every single human being on the world. It is a little bit tricky to download it, so if you need some help, drop us a line. And don't forget, you also know how to spot a satellite in the night sky next time you're taking a walk at night. It's here. We hold monthly QA sessions connected to this mini course. So if you want to be a part of it, go to this website or scan the QR code to select your spot. And within a couple of weeks, we're delivering our full-length course. If you're interested in knowing when this happens, come here or scan the QR code again. Thanks a lot for your time. We really appreciate it. And because of this, we wanted to give you the possibility to download this presentation with the drawings so that you have it in your laptop, just in case you need to revisit what we have been speaking today. Thank you very much and happy exploring.